Hello YouTube, Jumpy23 here. Just about a year after I wrapped up my FE8 LTC, I'd like to welcome you all to my next project, an LTC of Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. First off, I feel the need to apologize to anyone who was looking forward to TRS like I mentioned a long time ago, especially the handful of people on Discord who sent me strategy notes and videos to help with the run. I still want to do TRS 0% someday. Hopefully it won't be a year between projects next time, but I'm still operating on a principle of no promises. When I first played this game in December, I knew that I wanted to record an LTC of it, and I decided to strike while the iron was hot. Sparks of Hope is the second game in the Mario and Rabbids series, which is probably best described as what if XCOM was incredibly silly. This series has no right being any good, but somehow it's very good. At least, the gameplay is. The cutscenes are mostly terrible. I'll be skipping them in the future. I'm only letting them run for this first video, so I have time to give a lengthy introduction. Unlike Fire Emblem, I'm really not going to assume that my viewers know anything about this game. Rather than FE8's linear structure, Sparks of Hope has an extensive, explorable hub world system, with both random and fixed encounters. Additionally, there is some freedom in picking the order you take on the fixed encounters, although they do have a suggested order, with a recommended level given for each challenge. The hub worlds are explored like you can see right now. This provides some challenges for both defining the bounds of the run and deciding how to record the footage. In the end, the rule set I'm going with for this run is all fixed encounters. I can also do any non-encounter side quests that I want, but random encounters are banned entirely. This is very similar to 100% completion, but there are a few side quests which require entering random encounters. I'm not doing these because I don't want to deal with rigging them in my favor. Although most after the very early game are easy one turns, they also have random rewards, at least as far as I can tell. As for the order I do the fixed encounters in, the fastest way to beat the game would probably be to rush the mandatory encounters, and then when I'm super leveled up, come back and clean up anything optional. But the routing seems annoying. The rule I'm going to go with is instead, I have to clean up an entire planet before I move on to the next. Planets are the worlds of Mario and Rabbids, and there are 5. Within a world, I'm free to route as I see fit. This should free me up to upload each world separately once I'm sure it's been optimized, and not have to worry about backtracking too far. There is one exception. There is a golden pipe encounter in each world, which is usually not unlocked until much later in the game. I can do these encounters at any point before completing the world where I unlock them. For example, I unlock World 1's golden pipe halfway through World 2. I can do this encounter anytime before I enter World 3. In terms of the recording difficulties, I recorded absolutely everything in my FE8 run, such that if you played back the inputs you saw, you would finish the game yourself. This game has so much hub world filler that I really don't think a format like that would work here. The videos would be more LP than LTC. What I'm planning to do is just record the battle preps and the maps themselves, although I'll note in the video descriptions whenever I do any off-screen side questing. I think that's enough talk about the meta structure of Mario and Rabbids for now, so let's talk about the combat a bit. Like I said, it's clearly XCOM inspired, being a mostly gun-based TRPG. The first game, Kingdom Battle, was more XCOM, although it still had a unique identity, but Sparks of Hope sets itself apart further. Fortunately, the game starts with 4 tutorial maps, which I can use to introduce the combat alongside the game. The first map is basically an introduction to movement, with an arrive objective. I'll shut up for just a second so you can see how terrible the writing in this game is. I would love to punch Beepo in the face.
Move from cover to cover and remember to attack.
As you can see, rather than a grid, Sparks of Hope uses a circle drawn around each unit to determine their movement range. Until you use your main weapon with ZL, you can run around as much as you want. You can see Mario's weapon range in the red circle. Mario's weapon is a dual shot, basically two standard gun blasts, and they can each be aimed separately, although it's usually better to load damage into one target. As long as enemies aren't behind cover, everyone has a 100% hit rate. If they are, it's a 0% hit rate. There are slight damage ranges and crit rates, but they are rarely relevant. This will help make Sparks of Hope pretty painless to LCC, even though I don't have control over the RNG like I did in FE8. Tutorial 1 is completed in 3 turns. Mario didn't take any damage in that map, which is good, because units don't regenerate health between maps in this game. However, after the tutorial, there's a relatively cheap service to regenerate player unit health, and this game showers you with money. I debated disallowing this service, since technically health management is an aspect the game is really trying to push, with skill tree options, items, and even a character that specializes in restoring health. But it's mostly a boring, tedious part of the game, and technically the cheap full heal is also part of the game, so I'm going to allow it and, consequently, not really care about managing my HP. Tutorial 2 is an introduction to the dash attack mechanic, with our weapons completely disabled for it. Units in this game have a melee dash attack, which doesn't lock them in place like their weapon attack does. The importance of this attack can hardly be overstated. It completely changes how you engage with enemy units compared to range-based gunplay, and it does a lot of damage later in the game. This map is a damage site map similar to the tent burning from Radiant Dawn. There's actually a lot of this type of map in this game, which is pretty cool. Here on this map, Mario and Rabbid Peach are each going to dash at one egg, and then just hide behind cover from the only enemy on the map.
The last weak point is beyond that gap.
Tutorial 2 also introduces team jumps. In my opinion, these are truly the key to mastering Sparks of Hope. Team jumps extend your movement range, but they're irreversible. Once you jump, your movement range is completely changed and you can't go back to the old one. Using team jumps wisely to set up good dash attacks and move all your units forward to C's really changes the game. Here, Rabbid Peach is just going to set up a simple team jump for Mario to get the last egg, and end Tutorial 2 in 2 turns. Tutorials 3 and 4 will start looking more like real maps. Tutorial 3 is a route map. While we're going to introduce partial cover here, which has a 50% chance of blocking damage instead of 100 or 0% chance, it's so rarely relevant that it doesn't add appreciable RNG to the game. And here is the first example of team jump chaining. Rabbid Peach jumps over here to set up a better team jump for Mario. From her new position, Mario is able to jump all the way over to the 2 Rabbid Stooges behind the partial cover. Then he can hit them with a dash. Because of the angle he can shoot from now, they don't have cover at all, so they're both guaranteed to die. Rabbid Peach's missile launcher ignores partial cover entirely and does just enough damage to kill the last Stooge. There's a chance that it rolls too low and the Stooge survives, but I think it's lower than the numbers make it look, although I don't understand the RNG of this game as well as I do FE8. Anyway, Tutorial 3 is completed in 1 turn. We pick up a couple new abilities in Tutorial 4. One is the ability to use spark powers with L. These are special abilities tied to the sparks, the Rabid Luma things, which I can freely reassign between my units. To start, we get Starburst, who's actually one of the strongest sparks in the entire game. His ability is to provide a 1-turn damage buff for all heroes in range. Each spark also has a passive ability that affects only the hero it's equipped to. Starburst gives a slight defense buff. The other ability that we gain in this map is our character-specific powers, which we use with ZR. Mario's Hero Sight is an Overwatch skill, where he fires at the first thing that moves on enemy phase. Rabbid Peach's is the relatively useless heal skill that I mentioned earlier. However, my units only have 2 ability points per turn, so I can't use all of my ZL, L, and ZR powers on the same turn. Mario's Hero Sight is pretty useless on this enemy phase, because the first thing to trigger it would be the 3 Goombas, and he'll just kill one of them, so I don't bother using it.
Okay, that's it.
Mario and Rabbid Peach are 2 of the weaker units in this game, so don't get too used to seeing them. There are only 9 units in the game, but all maps range from just 2 to 4 deployment slots. Mario is a pure damage-based unit, but not one of the best ones, and Rabbid Peach's kit is unimpressive if you don't care about heal. Mario dashed that enemy just in case Rabbid Peach rolled low with her gun. I guess I should have used heal right here, there was absolutely no reason not to, but whatever. Tutorial Dash 4 is completed in 2 turns. After these 4 tutorial maps, I really have a new appreciation for like couch commentary at GDQ and stuff. It's insanely hard to try to introduce game mechanics in a way that's digestible while also commenting on the run. And I have a script, they don't. The last thing I'll show in this video is the difficulty selection of the game. Of course, I'm going to choose hard mode. Maps will be the same, but enemies have higher stats. At least that's what the wiki says. I certainly have never tried any of the other modes. So that concludes my introduction to Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Like I did with FE8, I'm gonna upload this before I finish the run to push myself to finish. The next time I upload will be after I finish routing all of the first world, Beacon Beach. This is a pretty short and easy game, so hopefully it won't be long, but I won't promise a timeline. Until then, thanks for watching.